Hi ladies, I'm Natalia and welcome back to Fit Rebelle. Your macros provide your body with the bulk of energy, so it's really important to be able to identify what they are and make sure they are included in your diet in a correct way. This way you'll be making sure that you're going to take advantage of all your training sessions and really have a successful fitness journey. At Fit Rebelle, we're all about loving our bodies and taking care of them in the best way possible. So you're going to want to make sure that you're feeding your body with all the right things. Having said that, for those of you who know me, you know I am really not the biggest fan of strict diets. I find that in the long term, they're very hard to maintain because of their extreme nature. And also, they're not necessarily the best for you because they tend to deprive you of certain much needed nutrients and often deprive you of certain energy that will also hinder your performance at the gym. These extreme diets can be really bad for your self-esteem and your mental health. They can very quickly become an obsession where you're no longer noticing the progress that actually matters, and it becomes this sort of dark cloud in your life that prevents you from seeing the great things about your fitness journey and really enjoying it and growing your self-love and enjoying this newfound energy. Wow, it is really sunny today. Could basically put these on. So today I'd like to cover with you what the essential macronutrients are, how to identify them, and stick around because I'm also going to let you know whether, depending on your personal situation and goals, whether it'd be a good idea for you to count your macros. Exactly how much you should be intaking of each macro largely depends on each person, on each person's body type, also on each person's fitness goals. So just because a certain proportion works for someone else, it doesn't mean it will work for you. I've seen girls try to mimic what's working for other ladies when in fact it's only making them exhausted, or they may be deceived by the results that they're seeing. Remember that this journey is about you and you only. You need to listen to your body and see what works best for you and what gets you to your personal objectives in the best way. Remember to subscribe for a genuine approach to fitness and self-love. Okay, so first let's look at what are the main macros. The first of which is protein. If you're interested in building muscle and losing body fat, which is essentially what weight training does, right? Then protein is super important for you. The reason for this is because the amino acids that come from the calories you intake from protein then turn into tissue and muscle, meaning that it's crucial for muscle recovery and muscle growth. So if you're weight training, you should be having more protein than the average person does. But how much exactly? A good rule of thumb to have is that you should be having 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's actually a lot more than most of us imagine. That's quite a lot of protein. Having said that though, if you're not a bodybuilder, you can probably get away with less than that. Examples of protein include meat, fish, quinoa, lentils, tofu. The next macro are carbs. Now there are two different types of carbs and you're going to want to be able to differentiate the two. The first one are simple carbs. Simple carbs, although they do sometimes appear naturally, like in milk for example, they're generally added onto our foods. So it's things like raw sugar, brown sugar, glucose, fruit juice concentrate. All of these are simple carbs and they're not very good for your health, so you're definitely going to want to avoid these if possible. They're found in, cookies, pies, sodas. On the other hand, you have complex carbs, which are much better for your health. On the one hand, you digest them way slowly and they fill you up more, so that's great for weight loss. And also they have way more fiber and many more nutrients. Examples of these include fruits, vegetables, oats, whole wheat bread. All of these are great examples of complex carbs and they should really be present in your life for your long-term health benefits. And the final main macro is fat. Now, fat has a really negative connotation because people tend to associate fat with, well, getting fat. But this is essentially wrong because fat has a lot of benefits and it's actually essential to our body. It helps with brain function, it helps us absorb protein, it provides us with an essential energy supply. So fat is actually really important to have. The only fat that you should be avoiding are trans fats, which are present in ready meals or present in fried food. Good fats, on the other hand, can be found in avocados, in olive oil, in nuts. Just to give you an idea, I eat approximately 40% carbs, 30% protein, and 30% fats. Now, this is what works for me, but as I said earlier in the video, the proportion of macros that you should be intaking depends largely on your body type, on your fitness objectives. So if you really want to know what proportion you should be aiming at, definitely consult a nutritionist or a PT who will give you more personalized guidance. This weather is really making me look forward to summer. Okay, so now that we've looked at what the main macros are, the main question that remains is, should you be counting your macros? Now, I get this question a lot, and the answer is, well, it depends. It depends largely on your situation. It depends largely on your knowledge, on your fitness goals, on your body type. So we're gonna go over a few situations in which I would recommend to count your macros, and situations in which I probably wouldn't recommend and it wouldn't be of much use to you. So counting your macros can be a good idea for you if, on the one hand, you have no kind of eye for this. So you're really not sure when you eat what the proportion of these macronutrients are in your food. And this is completely normal, because if you've never paid attention to this before and you've never actually counted them before, oftentimes your idea of how much a lot of protein is or enough carbs is a little distorted, and you can be a bit lost. So in this situation, it could actually be really beneficial to start counting your macros to really get a good idea of how much you are currently eating of each one and how much you should be eating. A second reason is that you're lean, but you want to get leaner. So if you're already lean, counting your macros and making sure you get a certain amount of grams of each one could actually make the difference between getting lean or leaner. So in that situation, yes, it could be really helpful. It could also be useful if you have cravings that are completely out of control, right? So it's midnight and you're absolutely craving that chocolate cake and there's nothing to help you resist that, and it's just overwhelming. Counting your macros in this situation can help you have some sort of motivation to restrain yourself from these outbursts and really keep track of whether you should be eating that extra piece of cake or not. And the final reason for counting macros would be that you're a competitor and you have a deadline. So if you're a bodybuilder and you have a competition coming up, well, counting your macros could make all the difference. But not counting your macros can be good too. If, for example, you have an obsessive nature and counting your macros is gonna mean that that's gonna be what you'll be thinking about day and night, and you'll lose sight of what actually matters, which is self-love, self-appreciation, self-discovery in your fitness journey, and all you're gonna be thinking about is whether you hate your macros of the day or not. That is going to hinder your mental health, and in the long term, it's not going to be a good idea. Another reason for not counting macros is that you've counted them before, right? So you've counted them before, you have a good sense of what proportion you need, you have a good sense of what proportion you're having when you're eating certain foods, and in that sense there's no real need, right? Because you already have an approximate idea of what you're eating. Another reason is if you're a beginner. If you just started weight training, trust me, you have other things to think about than trying to count your macros. You need to be focusing on choosing the right exercises, on using the correct form, of perhaps having a general change towards a healthier diet, but counting macros to you should not be your main purpose and your main focus right now. You have other things to be dealing with. And finally, another reason for not counting your macros is that your goal is just to be healthy and not necessarily shredded. So maybe you are interested in fitness because it helps you feel good, because you want to be more full of energy and you want to feel stronger, but whether you ate an extra gram or not of carbs is really not going to make or break your day, right? And if you're in this situation and you're not viciously watching your weight and your progress on a daily basis, then maybe counting your macros will be a waste of time. Now, I currently find myself in this category. I love weight training, I love all of the benefits it brings into my life, but I'm currently happy with where I'm at in terms of my body, and what I want to do is just maintain that healthy lifestyle. I want to maintain that balance that I have, and I do, not counting macros doesn't necessarily mean that I don't pay attention to them. I am careful in following a balanced diet, and I do try to be approximate in terms of the balance of the three, but that doesn't mean that I'm counting my macros on a daily basis. But again, now it's really up to you to figure out what works for you. What situation are you in? Would it be helpful to you to count macros given what I've said in this video? It's time to make up your mind, and whether you decide or not to do it, remember that the most important thing is to listen to your body. If your body is feeling exhausted, give it some rest. If your body needs more fuel, give it the right kinds of fuel through your food. But at the end of the day, this is about loving yourself, this is about feeling good, and it's about feeling confident. Watch more Fit Rebelle here or here. Remember to subscribe for a genuine approach to fitness, confidence, and self-love. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy and stay strong, ladies.